The moment my plane touched down on the runway, the air of India wrapped around me like a warm embrace, tinged with the scent of spices and a buzz of voices. My name's Ethan, ghost hunter by passion and adventure blogger by trade. Bhangarh Fort, with its chilling legends, was my destination, the crown jewel of my ghost hunting career. At the local hotel, a blend of vibrant colors and the hum of conversation, I met my team. Rachel, the scientist, greeted me with a skeptical arch of her brow, her demeanor as cool as the AC chilling the lobby. "Hope you're ready for some debunking," she quipped, her gear meticulously arranged beside her. Then there was Priya, our medium, whose presence felt like a calm before the storm. She had a look in her eyes that told stories of unseen worlds. "The spirits are restless," she whispered, almost to herself, but loud enough for us to hear. And lastly, Arjun, our guide, a man whose knowledge of the fort's dark history could fill volumes. "Welcome to the edge of the unknown," he said, his voice rich with the weight of unspoken tales. Over dinner, under the soft glow of lanterns, we laid out our plan. Despite the locals' warnings about the dangers of the fort after sunset, we were determined. "We have one night to prove the legends true," I announced, feeling the weight of our mission. "EVP recorders, cameras, and thermal imaging," Rachel listed off, her scientific arsenal ready to pierce the veil of the supernatural. Priya's gaze drifted, her voice soft but firm. "The spirits, they'll be watching us." Arjun leaned in, the flicker of the candlelight casting shadows over his face. "And remember, no one stays after dark. The curse..." His voice trailed off, leaving an ominous silence. That night, as we stood at the gates of Bhangarh Fort, the ruins loomed like a sentinel of the past, the setting sun casting long shadows that seemed to whisper of old curses. Armed with our equipment, we stepped into the embrace of the fort, the air thick with the anticipation of the unknown. Our adventure into the night had begun, the fort's secrets waiting to be unveiled. Little did we know, the shadows watched, biding their time, as we delved deeper into the heart of the haunted. As the last rays of sunlight vanished behind the ancient walls of Bhangarh Fort, Arjun gathered us in the main courtyard, his face illuminated by the glow of our flashlights. "Bhangarh Kakila," he began, his voice echoing off the stone, "was built in the 17th century, a jewel of Rajasthan, home to over 10,000 souls before it was swallowed by silence overnight." He told us of the beautiful Princess Ratnavati, whose beauty enchanted a love-struck priest. "He tried to bewitch her with a love potion," Arjun continued, "but the princess saw through his plot, leading the potion to kill him instead. With his last breath, the priest cursed Bhangarh to eternal desolation." The air seemed to thicken as he spoke, the ruins around us whispering of centuries past. Shadows flitted just beyond our sight, and the temperature dropped sharply, wrapping us in cold spots that made our skin prickle. "Nightfall is upon us. We should not stay," Arjun urged, a note of genuine fear in his voice. But Rachel's skepticism and Priya's quiet insistence on the presence of spirits convinced him to remain. "Very well, but we must be cautious," he conceded, his eyes scanning the darkening ruins. Setting up camp in the courtyard, the atmosphere grew tense. Priya paced restlessly, her sensitivity to the otherworldly making her increasingly uneasy. "Something malevolent watches," she murmured, her eyes distant. Rachel rolled her eyes. "There's a logical explanation for everything," she argued, but her voice held an edge of uncertainty. As darkness enveloped us, the fort came alive with unexplained phenomena. Our cameras captured fleeting images of ghostly figures, and our recorders picked up whispers in the void. Then Priya collapsed, her body seized by an unseen force speaking in tongues. Arjun's face paled as he translated, "She warns us to leave now." Panic set in when we realized our communication gear had failed. Isolated, cut off from the world, Arjun's fear turned to terror. The curse. We've angered the spirits, he stammered, the fort's ominous history suddenly very real. The night at Bhangarh had promised adventure, but delivered a nightmare. As we huddled together, the fort's curse weighed heavily upon us, a chilling reminder of the power of the unseen. Our quest for the paranormal had found us, but not in any way we had anticipated. Under the ghostly moonlight that bathed Bhangarh Fort in a spectral glow, we gathered in the main courtyard, our hearts heavy with dread. Priya, her face etched with solemn determination, instructed us on the ritual she believed would shield us from the malevolent spirits. We need to form a circle, light these candles, and offer peace to the spirits, she explained, her hands trembling as she arranged the candles in a precise pattern on the ground. Each of us took our place in the circle, the flickering candles casting eerie shadows on the ancient stones. Priya began chanting in a language I couldn't understand, her voice rising and falling with a rhythm that seemed to resonate with the very air around us. Suddenly, Rachel cried out, collapsing to the ground. We rushed to her side, finding her clutching her arm, her face contorted in pain. Something. It felt like claws, she gasped. But there was nothing to be seen, only the chilling touch of the unseen that had left its mark upon her. Arjun looked around, fear and regret battling in his eyes. "We should never have stayed after dark," he whispered, a sentiment we all felt acutely in that moment. "This place, it's not meant for the living after sunset." As Priya's chants drew to a close, she slumped forward, exhausted. When she spoke again, her voice was not her own, deeper, resonant with an ancient power. Arjun listened, his face growing pale before he reluctantly translated. "The fort is a prison," he said, "for an entity cursed to remain here. It demands a sacrifice for our passage out." The air grew cold, our breaths visible in the moonlit night as the reality of our situation settled upon us. "What kind of sacrifice?" Rachel's voice was barely a whisper, her scientific skepticism shattered by the night's events. Arjun hesitated, then said, "The entity seeks an offering of memories, moments of life. It feeds on experiences, not flesh." Priya, now herself again, added, "We each must give a memory, a piece of our essence to appease the spirit. It's the only way out." We looked at each other, understanding the gravity of our choice. To offer a piece of our souls for a chance at escape was a price we never imagined paying. Yet, surrounded by the oppressive darkness of Bhangarh, with the weight of centuries-old curses bearing down upon us, we knew there was no other way. One by one, we offered our memories to the night, speaking them aloud as the entity, through Priya, absorbed our offerings. Each memory spoken was a goodbye, a piece of ourselves left in the haunting embrace of Bhangarh Fort. As the ritual concluded, a silence descended, profound and complete. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, replaced by a stillness that felt like a benediction. We had appeased the ancient entity, paid the price for our intrusion. As we stepped out of the fort's main courtyard, thinking our ordeal was over, the air turned cold, and a dark mist enveloped us, snatching away the clarity of dawn. It was then that Priya's body stiffened, a vicious laugh echoing around us, chilling our blood. "Not so fast," the voice taunted through her, sinister and cold. This new entity, darker and more malevolent than the last, demanded a true sacrifice. One of us had to be consumed by the darkness that lay within the fort's heart. Fear gripped us tighter than the mist. We retreated to the temple, the only place that felt remotely safe, to discuss our grim options. The weight of the decision pressed down on us, the air thick with the unsaid. To leave one behind was unthinkable, yet the alternative seemed just as dire. Arjun, his face a mask of dread, broke the silence. "There's another way," he said hesitantly. "An old legend speaks of a network of tunnels beneath the fort, a path that leads out. But it's said to be cursed, guarded by challenges only the brave can overcome." Rachel scoffed, the fear momentarily overshadowed by her disbelief. "And you believe this?" she asked, skepticism creeping back into her voice. "I do," Arjun replied, solemn. "Because right now, it's our only hope." Priya, released momentarily from the entity's grasp, nodded weakly. "I can feel it. The darkness, it's rooted deep below. Maybe confronting it there is our chance to break free." The decision was made. We would face the darkness together, navigate the cursed tunnels in a desperate bid for freedom. The entrance, hidden beneath a loose stone tile in the temple, revealed a narrow, descending passage, the air stale and heavy with untold secrets. With only our flashlights to guide us, we ventured into the labyrinth. The path twisted and turned, the darkness pressing in from all sides. Whispered threats filled the air, unseen hands brushed against us, and shadows moved just beyond the edge of our light. "We can't let fear divide us," I said, my voice stronger than I felt. "Together, we've got this." And so we pressed on, each challenge faced with a unity born of desperation. The bond that had formed between us, tested and strained, became our greatest strength. After what felt like an eternity, a faint light appeared in the distance, growing brighter with each step. The exit emerged suddenly, a burst of early morning light that blinded us momentarily. We emerged on the other side of the fort, the cursed mist dissipating behind us as if it had never been. The sun's rays felt like a benediction, warming our chilled bones and soothing our frazzled nerves. We had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, not through sacrifice but through solidarity. The bonds formed in the heart of Bhangarh Fort would forever unite us, a reminder that together we could face the darkest of terrors and survive. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and pink, we emerged from the shadows of Bhangarh Fort, a testament to our survival. Our bodies were weary, our minds fraught with the night's terrors, yet there was an unspoken relief among us. The oppressive darkness that had clung to the fort seemed to recede with the night, as if acknowledging our victory. "We did it," Rachel breathed out, a hint of wonder in her voice, her skepticism tempered by the ordeal we had endured. "I can't believe we made it through the night." Priya, her strength returning, smiled weakly. "The spirits, they've quieted," she said, her eyes scanning the now peaceful ruins. "For now, at least." Arjun looked back at the fort, his expression thoughtful. "The legends of Bhangarh will continue, but we've seen firsthand the power that lies within these walls. We were lucky to escape its grasp." As we walked away from the fort, the sun climbing higher in the sky, I couldn't help but reflect on the night's events. The world of the supernatural, which I had sought to explore and understand, had revealed itself in ways I could never have imagined. Our encounter with the entities of Bhangarh challenged not just our bravery, but our understanding of the world beyond our own. In the calm that followed the storm, I realized our adventure would be a story for the ages, a cautionary tale for those who dared to tread where shadows reign. Ghost hunters, adventurers, anyone who seeks to uncover the mysteries of the unknown, I found myself saying, more to the wind than to my companions. Beware the allure of places like Bhangarh. Respect the past, heed the warnings of the present, and never underestimate the power of the spirits that may dwell within. Our journey to Bhangarh Fort was over, but the memories of that night would linger, a constant reminder of the fine line between the known and the unknown. We left with more questions than answers, our skepticism challenged, our courage affirmed. As I penned down our experience for my blog, I couldn't shake the feeling that we had touched something ancient, something eternal. Bhangarh had changed us, each in our own way, and as I warned future explorers of its dangers, I knew that our story was but a single chapter in the fort's long history of mystery and intrigue. The sun was now fully up, casting long shadows that seemed almost benign in the light of day. We looked back one last time, the fort standing silent on the horizon, a guardian of secrets best left undisturbed. Our adventure into the heart of darkness was over, but the lessons it taught us about fear, courage, and the unknown would stay with us forever.